What is it that helps translate vision into reality? What is it, the essence of which is to influence and not to dictate? Who are the ones who follow the three R's: respect for self, respect for others, and responsibility for their own actions? I'm sure most of you must have guessed what I'm hinting at. Yes, today we are here to deliberate upon a very, very pertinent topic, and that's leadership. A true leader, as they say, is great not because of his power, but because of his ability to empower others. William Arthur Wood once opined, leadership is based on inspiration, not domination, on cooperation, not intimidation. Today, we have with us one such rich ensemble of inspiring and influential leaders who are living, breathing embodiment of true, empathetic, and empowering leadership. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another special episode of Walks of Life entitled Virtual Leadership Conclave. Before I go ahead to move and introduce our dynamic leaders for the evening, our guests for this evening, to our revered audience, I, Bandan Preet Mahajan, founder of Walks of Life, communication and life skills coach, and a youth skill mentor, would like you to know more about Walks of Life, the FB community. Walks of Life, as on date, is a strong and vibrant community with 1,200 plus vibrant and effervescent members, all from different walks of life, as the name suggests. The group, with core focus on leadership, learning, and life skills, was envisioned to serve as a virtual platform wherein experts and learners from different walks of life congregate to exchange and share their expertise, their learnings, their experiences, their viewpoints, everything for societal edification and empowerment. Our show for the evening is co-powered by Genius Editorial, a coaching cum training institute that runs both online and offline modules for communication skills, life skills, and youth skill mentoring. GE envisions empowering of masses and transforming of lives as its mission. Having said that, let me introduce to you our enthusing and fervent panelists for the evening. Our first panelist for the evening is Mr. Rajiv Handa. Rajiv sir proudly calls himself first a parent, then a partner, a co-worker, and human who is also a global business leader. Now that's what we call humility. He is someone you can call people potential and scale up catalyst, a Marshall Goldsmith certified leadership coach. He's a business mentor with over 30 years of entrepreneurial leadership experience. As a person, as a purpose driven professional coach and mentor, he's totally invested in success, transition, and growth of aspiring individuals, entrepreneurs, and businesses. Having evolved and grown as a professional from selling newspaper subscriptions as his first time summer job to becoming a business head and senior global leader, creating, growing, and leading businesses and large global teams, he is a living inspiration in himself. He has held senior leadership roles managing Indian, African, and Asian markets across large corporates, startups, mid sized companies across pharma, education, e learning, telecom, retail, consultancy, and insurtech sectors. Based on his own journey so far, he caters to a variety of entrepreneurs, leaders, men and women above 30 who are aspiring to become leaders, women leaders, and first jobbers, and helps them to succeed and evolve. Thank you so much for being here, sir. Thank you so much for accepting my humble invitation. It is indeed an honor.
Thanks, Bandan.
Our next panelist for the evening is Ms. Fahmida Mohamed. A title that she most proudly carries as her status is that she is a mother of two wonderful children. Now that's really sweet, Fahmida. Currently holding a corporate designation of Group Head Sales, Marketing, and Business Development of Comfort World International Private Limited in Sri Lanka, her passion always lay in public speaking, where she gets to connect heart to heart with people. The need for the right kind of leadership was a long felt dream that stemmed from personal experiences, both good and bad. She understood at a crucial juncture that leadership can make or break a man. And I second that, Famida. She firmly believes the leadership skills you extend is a direct reflection of your personality. And this made her start her mission of being a true visionary and affiliative leader and create a new path and leave trails for like minded souls. Her academic background of MBA and NLM encompasses elements of international business, international relations, people management, diversity, and inclusion. She recently initiated her training, learning, and development journey to be able to serve like minded professionals and millennials who wish to succeed in their lives through empowerment and motivation. Thanks for being such an inspiration and thanks for being here, Fahmida.
It's an absolute pleasure, and thank you so much for having me here, Bandan.
Thank you once again. Our next panelist for the evening is Miss Sonesh Bhardwaj. Sonesh has over 14 years of experience in the services industry, heading various portfolios under sales, marketing, operations, and training. Being a fine tuned business and life skills coach, she has coached and mentored around 900 plus entrepreneurs, established businessmen, startup owners across a global market by upscaling and enhancing their team performances. She is a certified sales and soft skills trainer, leadership behavioral coach, and a master facilitator for TTT and various other coaching platforms. She has trained teams in various capacities, right from the classroom to various seminars on different modules and requirements. She has designed systems, strategies, training modules for different departments and helped various organizations to reach a solution oriented approach for achieving various goals. Team handling, leadership, motivation, communication, conflict resolution, performance enhancement are a few of her skills that she works immensely with on various organizations. She's worked full time with companies like Vodafone, Phoenix Advertising, Ozone Corporation, O3 Events, Tatva Retail India Limited, Virginia Developers, Quick Step Learning, so on and so forth across various business verticals. She's also conducted training programs for various companies like BHEL, Zion Hills Golf County, Dayanand Sagar University, Samudra Builders, DS Max, GAT, Rytech University, Rajiv Gandhi University. I can just go on and on. The list is exhaustive indeed. For her multifarious endeavors, she has been awarded with several accolades from both national and international quarters. And today we are obliged and we are humbled to have you on this particular panel discussion with us on this forum called Walks of Life. Thank you, Sonesh, for being here.
Thank you so much, Bandan, and it's indeed my pleasure too to be sharing the stage with all the eminent speakers. So I think it's really wonderful.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to a really fruitful and a very engaging discussion amongst all of you.
True,
So
true.
let's move on. Yeah, let's move on to our next panelist for the evening, Miss Gauri Das. Gauri is a senior HR leader who is passionate about talent management and development. She possesses 14 plus years of experience in all gamuts of HR management and has been part of diverse industries. Example, the NBFC, the financial services, FMCG, education, etc. Her strengths include strategic HR, building up the right culture, developing high performance teams, supporting and empowering leaders to drive performance, improve employee engagement and experience, etc. She holds double masters in HR management and psychology and a bachelor's in computer engineering. She is a certified rewards and NLP professional and also holds OD certification from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. She has been recognized as HR 100 under 40 and top HR Mind India and Vika Luminary Growth. She is passionate about women empowerment and is leading a leading circle called Leaders Lifting Leaders. Besides this, she is also a core committee member for LinkedIn Local Navi Mumbai. We're so glad to have you with us this evening, Gauri. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Vandana. I'm so happy to be here and have this discussion. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Last, but by no means the least, we have with us Mr. Siddharth Venkatraman. Yeah, can we have Siddharth on screen? Yeah. So 15 plus years of experience in helping organizations of digital marketing, customer experience, sales and marketing functions in both B2B and B2C environments through effective change management and setting up measurable processes. He's worked in a blend of corporate, consulting, and agency environments with a large variety of organizations, which range from startups to large business conglomerates and a wide variety of industries, something we were discussing just before the show. His specialities include culture change management, CRM, performance marketing, process reengineering, accountable marketing, demand generation, brand management, business storytelling, digital marketing, social media, and digital experience management. Now that's something. I mean, I got you got me breathless on this. I can keep reading on and on. And he was the head digital experience and brand at Danfoss Industries Private Limited, a Danish engineering major, senior manager, e-business and brand at GMMCO, part of CK Birla Group, manager, customer acquisition and digital marketing, Ramco Systems, an entrepreneur at Harps Hospitality, and co-founder at Wellgrow Innovations, which is India's first social enterprise event platform incubating startups, to name a few. He has also been awarded with several laurels like the Innovative Digital Customer Experience Award from CII Tata Center for Digital Transformation and Ministry of E&IT 2019, Man on the Moon Global Challenge 2020, and multiple W3 awards. Now, thank you so much once again for taking time out of your hectic schedule, Siddharth, and for being here with all of us. It's indeed a privilege.
Thank you,
Thank
Bandan.
you so much. Yeah. So, having said that, I think it's time for us to initiate our discussion for the evening. And I'm really excited. I think it's going to be a very enthralling discussion. So, my first question is to Rajiv, sir. And Rajiv, sir, this is the shortest of questions that I have on my list today. So, why leadership? Why is it so important?
Can't hear you, Bandan.
I said, sir,
I couldn't
my
hear you, Bandan.
shortest
Sorry.
question comes to you. Yeah. So why leadership? Why do we need to talk about leadership in the first place? Why is it so important?
Okay. Uh, for the shortest question, I'll give you the longest answer. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. We're all
Okay.
ears.
Okay. Now, I think that's a very loaded question. If I was to sort of start off with, and before I sort of attempt to address that why, I want us to sort of imagine and look at what leadership is all about, actually. And it reminds me of the simplest definition of leadership, which I have always been fascinated with. And Peter Drucker says that leadership is about anybody who has followers, right? So if you have followers, you're a leader. Now, that's probably the simplest way to describe what a leader is all about. Now, if you just reflect on that and try and understand that who's the person who ever will have followers? Somebody who has influence, somebody who has an ability to attract people by virtue of being able to say something that appeals to them, uh, is able to stand in the crowd and stand out in a way and manner that people start looking towards that individual and say, well, here is a person who probably means something, says something, and we must listen to him. So that's the way that one looks at what leaders are all about. Now, in our own real life, if you think about it, what is it that leaders do differently? Right now, if you think about it, leaders, it's very obvious thing. People say leaders lead, right? But what they do differently is the fact that they look for people and ideas and convert those ideas into reality. Whereas the rest of the people, they start looking at faults. They look for things that are not going wrong. And here is a leader who picks up what is probably right, converts it into something that can get done, and moves on with it. And suddenly everybody starts following that leader, following that purpose, and following the fact that, well, hey, something great is happening around us. Now, if you for a minute imagine that in our routine day-to-day life, in what forms do leaders come around us? We've seen freedom fighters, we've seen social workers, we've seen business leaders, we've seen teachers, we've seen mentors, we've seen even even within the home, you've got the head of the family who you look upon as a leader. Now, what do they do differently? Each one of them has got something about themselves which suddenly holds people around them. If you were to think about it, freedom fighters that come to your mind, Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, Abraham Lincoln, they all stand out as leaders because of the fact that there was something about them which held people together, irrespective of the generations today, irrespective of the countries you belong to. But they're like icons, right? They're people who people believe in and say, well, there is something that they're doing right about it. Now, having created this picture about what leadership is about and what it feels to be among leaders and what it feels like to look at around leaders, you're coming to your question, the shortest question, and I promise you I'll give you a long answer to it. The why leadership, right? Why am I right? That was your question, right? Why leadership?
Yes.
Right?
Why
Now,
leadership?
I want all of us to go back to a situation. Just all of us love shopping, right? Maybe during these times we don't do that much, but just imagine walking around in a shopping arcade, and people who are aware of all brands that are sitting in front of shelves and desks. Think of products, right, which don't have any labels, which don't have any brand names, right? You will not know what to buy. You will not know what experience you're going to get. So leadership is something like that. Just imagine a spear without a spearhead. Will you ever call it a spearhead? It'll be just one simple.
No.
It's just another stick, right? But the moment a spear comes onto it, the stick becomes a spearhead. Similarly, communities, societies, countries, organizations, families, they all convert towards a purpose. They all converge to a particular intent when leaders emerge. So leaders exist to allow change. Leaders exist to allow societal, family level, organization level change to happen. Change that we don't realize is happening to us, but it happens because of the leader. And the best part about the leader is they make the change happen without anybody realizing they're actually making the change happen. That's why leaders actually exist, according to me.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's
So I must say,
my
sir,
view
that
about it.
what you've just said is so. Yeah. I think it was very simple and yet it was so profound. The kind of analogies you realize makes it so very simple yet so very emphatic. And secondly, I got to learn about two C's from you. The first one was convert, and the second C is the converge. I think these two C's are very, very important. And we also have Gauri saying that, yes, well said, converts ideas into results. So Gauri is also seconding what you're saying. So having said that, let's move on to our next question. And this question is for Siddharth. Siddharth, what according to you are the most important values that one needs to demonstrate as a leader? Can you hear me?
Bandan, I couldn't hear you.
So I'll repeat the question. Can you hear me now, Siddharth?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Again, Bandan, I can't hear you. Your
Am I
frame
audible,
is
Siddharth?
frozen. Yeah, you're audible now.
Okay, so my question to you is, what according to you are the most important values that one needs to demonstrate as a leader?
Okay. Yeah,
Rajiv sir, am I
now you
audible
are
to you?
audible. Yeah. Am I audible? Okay. So see, I feel that there are five very
I think
critical values for a leader.
technical glitch here. Okay, so I'll just repeat the question once again. Do you want me to repeat the question?
No, I got the question. But are you able to hear me?
Is it that Bandan is disconnected and the
Yes.
rest of us are connected?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Hello?
Hello. Yeah, Bandan.
I can't hear me. I think we need to go through the phone. Yes. So can everyone hear me? Still not working. Should I put this? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, Siddharth, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Sonesh, Gauri, Fahmida, am I audible to each one of you?
Yes.
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Yes.
So
You're
sorry for the
both audible
technical
at this
glitch. I think technology is playing its own tantrums today. So having said that, let me now once again request Siddharth to please answer this question. What, according to you, are the most important values that one needs to demonstrate as a leader?
Okay. So I would say there are 5 very, very important values as a leader one needs to develop within themselves. And the most important one is integrity and ethics. I think that needs to be of the highest level, and everything else just is secondary. Okay. You may be damn good at everything else, but lack of integrity and ethics makes you a really pathetic, forget a leader, you're a pathetic professional. Okay. The second important value for a leader is about nurturing growth for themselves as well as for people around them. And this is, I'm not at all talking about a hierarchical leader. I'm talking about anybody who's a leader needs to continuously nurture themselves, grow themselves, as well as share knowledge and enable others to grow.
Right.
The third one for a leader is communication. And when I say communication, it's not about having regular meetings and it's not about having a very flamboyant English. It's about a two-way communication where you're very, very clear about what you want, what are your goals, what's your vision, and giving ear to others and listening to people. So a two-way communication. The fourth one is about empathy, and that's very, very critical. And empathy, a lot of people believe that some people, like a lot of people whom I see as leaders, they believe that if they show their empathetic self, it will be seen as a weakness. No, it's not. So empathy is very, very important as a leader to really groom people and to get the support of people. Finally, one thing which is actually given very low importance, but is very, very important, is confidence, conviction, and a sense of security. A lot of leaders fail because of their lack of conviction and confidence in what they're doing. And they keep getting pulled in all directions. And because they lack conviction and confidence, they get pulled easily by what others say and what other probably their superiors say. And this leads to a sense of insecurity, which further has a spiraling effect on everyone around. So I think these are the 5 very, very important values which everybody has to develop if you need to become a good leader.
Very crisp, very compact, and very powerful. So it's all about confidence. We got 2 more C's from Siddharth. And obviously empathy is there. Every leader these days has to learn this that people being other perspective. So it's only when you put yourself in the shoes of the other person can you be an empathetic leader, and that really counts. So having said that, I would now like to move on to Fahmida. Fahmida, is it okay for a leader to fail? How does a leader face failure and rise from it?
Bandan, when you look at failure, we are currently at a juncture of life where failure is believed to be the most sought after prerequisite to success. To facilitate the so-called innovations and revolutions, more than the settings that evolve around us, human breakthrough in terms of perception, acceptance, courage, and confidence is what is mandatory. Without human intervention, I am not certain whether the contemporary domain of activity, knowledge, or influence that we are existing in would ever be existing. Again, when we speak about leadership, our mindset is immediately shifted towards the corporate world. But I deny to confine such a broad phenomenon to just one facet of life. We are all leaders within the grand scheme of things. Our rate of influence, levels of inspiration, and the ability to be able to navigate even through the most challenging path of life is what sets our stand as a leader. And to me, mistakes are the SPL that churns around the much needed ascertainments of life on the aggregate. The success of many leaders, especially my personal favorites, Abraham Lincoln, Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, that have remained in the hearts of many have only been achieved through a series of failures. Their levels of emotional intelligence, adversity quotient, and self-management is what made them stronger with every encounter they've had with failures. On the hindsight, more than the occurrence of failure, it is the fear of failure that happens to be the crucial slanderer. I cannot fail. I should not fail. I cannot be going through an episode of embarrassment and humiliation. This is the social stigma that exists which needs to be addressed and resolved with immediate effect. To me, it is this unwarranted mindset is only to keep many from doing something and being someone. It is absolutely okay to fail. If you look deeper, it is the biggest motivator. As when we fail, yes, those around us do make us look like specks of dirt and dust. But they actually feed us the need for growth. Every failure presents you with a learning, you, me, everybody, with learnings. And all these learnings accumulated together is our ammunition, our weapon. No one said life is going to be easy. We need to prepare for our own battles. We need to have our ammunition ready. Those who curl up in a corner are not yet ready, but it is only up to you, me, to choose our time of emergence. And procrastination, parallelly, is another enemy that haunts us every day. It is those who understand that there is no other moment than now are the ones who rise up, and those people are the ones who have the advantage of time and lead. But once you have tasted of this long-filled dream of success, you will never want to step back from that invigorating feeling. It's actually glorious. It is always the bounce back rate that matters, and never how deep you fall. Be it a visionary, be it an affiliate, be it an authoritative. Are you failure tolerant? Because that is what determines your rate of glory. I believe that if you can breathe, you can get up. If you can get up, you can fight and revenge all those 1,000 failures with success.
Very well said. I think this term that you just used, failure tolerant, is going to, stay with me for a very, very long time to come. And you talked about procrastination. I think another unhelpful habit that we all need to get rid of is the perfectionism paralysis. And you also talked about the social stigma which is attached with failure. I think for every experience that we come across in life, I can say we earn some and we learn some. So thank you for that very insightful answer, Fahmida. Having said that, let's move on to Sonesh now. Sonesh, my question to you is, how can a leader get others to accept his or her ideas?
Thank you so much, Bandan, for this, I think, very specific question when it comes to leadership. And I'm sure that most of the leaders go through this, mental stigma, saying that why my people are not listening to me, or probably why my ideas are not getting respected the way I want them, right? Let me tell you very simple. If you are really a leader, first of all, you have to understand who a leader is. Now, as most of the speakers here, like prior to me, they have mentioned a very important term. Are you a leader who is just probably living this term of leadership by title, or you really mean it? Right? That's very, very important for you to understand first. So being a leader, I think first thing which you have to have in you is the clarity of thoughts. Before you put your ideas or thoughts to someone, I do feel that as a leader, you should be very clear what you want to share. Right? That is first thing. Secondly, I always feel, because there were situations when I have been myself into a kind of circumstances that I have to literally go and ask my team members what to do. We are completely blank, and I never felt shame for it, to be very honest, because I felt a great leader is always one who always put the questions and allow everyone to be a part of that discussion, right? So I always believe asking questions to your team, or probably to the set of people to whom you are dealing with, is the right way to get into this, whole power of accepting your ideas. Because people should feel they are a part of your team, rather than you become very bossy and start dictating them into a dictatorship mode, right? So
Right,
second
right.
very important thing is ask questions, and please listen to these questions very carefully, because I have noticed a lot of time we just hear is for the sake of hearing. Please understand that as a leader you have to give your ear for the right reason, right? Third thing which I feel is be open to change. And I think Fahmida has just mentioned a very important point, that why failures, or do we resonate with this term called being a failure is towards the journey of being a leader. So I completely second that thought process. The reason is, if we are not open to change, and if we are not making mistakes, trust me, we are not at all learning anything, right? So be open
Absolutely.
to change. If somewhere you feel that no, there are things which are going wrong, accept it and try to change it at that point of time, rather than becoming very defensive. Because the moment you
Right.
become defensive, you are stopping your own growth as a leader. And secondly, I don't consider you as a leader, because you being the main front leader, you are showing others also that how to play defensive, right? So this is
Right.
very critical point. Fourth thing which I feel is, use inclusive words. That is what I think most of us being a leader we have to do. And probably that is what resonates very close to my heart, that if you feel that your team is something called we, rather than you enforce a word called I. No, it's never been a I. Because you take any big organizations, you take even a small startup, if you don't consider your team with the integrity of a word called we, I think you are giving them somewhere a feel that you are not considering them as a part of your team, and they are just like any other employee, right? So please make sure that you use inclusive words, and they should feel that they are a part of your team, rather than just getting cornered, or rather than thinking, wow, I think I have to just tell something for the sake of doing that. They should not have that feel at all. Last but not the least, I think very important is you should be a confident leader in you, right? Have trust, have that confidence in you, that whatever ideas you are putting in front of people, they are going to accept it only the moment when you have that self conviction in you. If that self conviction is not there,
Right.
trust me, doesn't matter whatever the best to best ideas you have, it's all going to go for a toss. So this is all
Right.
from my side when it comes to, like, okay, what we should have, and in terms of how to make others to accept your ideas.
Yeah, and that's exactly the point where we had started off when we said that leadership is not just about power, it's about empowering others. And I think a very beautiful point that you made was about inclusivity. So that's
Yes.
something really innovative as an idea that has come across during this discussion. And I would also like to thank our audiences who are watching us live right now. So I'd like to thank Rosie, Rajesh Malhotra, Ranjan, Sirish Kondinya, Jaya, Sheenu Jaggi, Sunny Nagpal, Harpit, and Harshpreet, Anshika. Thank you so much all for joining us, and thank you so much for being so patient despite the technical glitches that we faced initially and still being with us throughout the panel discussion. Now, having said that, let me move on to Gauri now. Gauri, my question to you is, can one assume a leadership position even when one doesn't have the title of a leader? And could you cite an example to validate your answer?
Am I audible?
Now you're audible,
But then,
right? Yeah.
because you were breaking, I'm not sure what's happening.
No,
Technology
no.
can spoil everything at any point of time. Okay. So for me, like Fahmida said, that all of us are leaders, and I strongly believe in this. If you, as you know, I run a circle called as Leaders Lifting Leaders, and it has students till 35 plus years of experience, women, and all of us are leaders because we are making difference in at least one person's lives, and especially mothers or teachers, everybody, wherever we are, and we are leading ourselves for sure. So I don't think we need to have any title in order to become a leader. And this is very clear if we see in families or if we see at work. at times it happens that the person would not go to their boss. They will go to somebody else who they think would be guiding them well, or who they think are leader in true sense. So leadership is an attitude. It's not a title or designation. Who gave a title to Mother Teresa when she started all this? She was given sainthood in 2016 after everything was done and dusted, right? Who gave a title when Gandhi ji came to India or he was in South Africa? So leaders don't need a title. He had so many people, like Rajiv said, influencers. So he was an influencer, she was an influencer. So many people were following them, but they were never given a formal title till they were doing this work. So it's all about how you are treating people. Are you taking them as as a means for the journey, or at the end of the journey? What is important? It is important that you know they are not working because you are telling them to work. It's important that they are working because they want to do this. So this is how, with the examples, I would say that it is not about title. It is all about having that attitude and having that thing for people like Siddharth counted what values should be there. So if you are showing those values, if you are showing those attributes, you are definitely leading irrespective you are an office boy or you are a CEO.
Right, brilliantly put forth. And I think ultimately I'd just like to summarize this by saying it's all about that edge to edge connect, the human to human or heart to heart connect. And that's very important for a leader to follow. Thank you so much for that insightful answer, Gauri. I would now like to go back to Rajiv sir. Rajiv sir, after having so much of discussion, I'm slightly confused and I need to know, is leadership a skill which is natural or is it something that we need to learn? Is it a learnable skill or is it a natural skill?
Wow, that's an interesting question, right? And this is like putting a googly in the cricket game, right? That's the question that you put in front of me. Okay. Uh, Now, the best part about this question is that there is no
Okay.
correct answer to this question, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you why I'm saying that. Because all the panelists before me, they're presented very rightfully different aspects about what a leader should be, what are the values they must have, and how they actually behave and conduct themselves. And just now, in fact, Gauri rightfully mentioned about the fact that everybody is a leader, right? Uh, and that's what we spoke about in the beginning. That if you look around, there are spiritual leaders, there are freedom fighters, there are people in the organization. All around, we find leaders, right? Now the question is that are leaders born or are leaders trained? And I think that's the real debate and this is a debate probably that's been going on for ages. Uh, I think my personal view on this is that uh, it's like the right brain and the left brain, right? There are components of an individual which are intrinsic to you. There are components which can get developed, can get evolved. Now, if you take leadership, for example, uh, is leadership an attribute? Are you born a leader? Yes, some aspects are there. If you look around, and the best example is all of us have kids at home, right? And that's a very interesting age to start looking at whether that person is behaving like a leader or not. Within siblings or within cousins or within family around you, you will suddenly find there is somebody who's taking the initiative.
Right.
The other one is not. There is somebody who's sort of the follower and the other one is not. So somewhere you start believing that there is one of them who is behaving like a leader and is demonstrating those leadership skills. Now, does that mean that the other person or the other kid is not a leader? I don't agree with that.
Right.
Because what happens there is that the attributes could be deep rooted, but there are skills which can be taught, which allow you to sort of evolve into certain elements which are there. So just to highlight
Right.
that point, if you think about it, what are the core attributes that a person must have? I need to be self-aware. I need to be empathetic. I need to have an ability to learn. I need to be a good listener. I need to be able to be patient with situations, people, and calm when I'm in trouble. Now, those are certain attributes that are which are very much dependent on how I am as an individual. Whereas, is delegation a skill that can be taught? Certainly, yes. Is something like being an organized person as a skill that can be taught? The answer is yes. Is communication as a skill that can be taught? Answer is yes. So the answer to that question of yours is that there are certain attributes that you need to have. There are certain skills that can be taught on top of it to make you a better leader. So going back to what Gauri said, and I like what she said actually, that every one of us is actually a leader. It's a situation we are put in, and how we deal with that situation really tells us whether are we demonstrating our leadership abilities or not. If you throw somebody in hot water, it's like you throw somebody in the swimming pool, right? Will you swim and come out? Would you call that person a leader? That he found a way out of a swimming pool? Maybe that person did not know how to swim. But that's leadership instinct. That's an instinct to survive, right? So I believe it's a question open for debate, but my firm belief is that leadership can be taught and should be taught. And that's what's happening in our education system today. Young students are being taught entrepreneurship. Adults are being taught about how to behave well in organizations. And everybody in daily lessons are learning more and more about leadership, according to me.
Right.
So that's what I would believe about it.
So I think you've given this debate the right kind of direction, and that the very fact that you've kept it open for other people, they can obviously add on more to it and take it in the direction which they would like to take it to. But I think it was a very insightful answer, and it was indeed something which was quite enlightening, quite enthralling and enriching. So thank you so much for that insight, sir. And now I'd like to move on to Siddharth once again. Siddharth, what do millennials need to do, and what do they need to learn and practice to turn into better leaders in times to come?
Okay, sure. So before I go into my points, I actually would like to add on to what Gauri mentioned. It was a very, very, very important point she told in the last, saying that to be a leader, you don't need to be a CEO. You can even be an office boy. And what Sir also added on to it. So I'm going to give you it is just not, I would say, not just a philosophical statement. I've seen that happen right in front of my eyes, and I thought I should give that example because she told this. So about 10, 12 years back, I was working in an organization where we had one of my colleagues, and as per the role, he was an office boy. Okay, and in organizations that to 10, 12 years back, the role of an office boy is to support in the probably keeping the office clean and probably filling water and all these kind of things. Okay, but he said, I will not restrict my job to what has been defined by the organization. And he said, let me take up the additional role of taking care of the computers and the laptops and all these things. Let me do the maintenance of that. Okay. And and to be very honest, our CEO, he said, please go ahead. Okay. He had a good heart, and he probably exhibited his leadership skill. And he said, Prabhakar, please go ahead. Okay. And today, 10 years down the line, so at that point of time, he had just finished his 12th. He then did his graduation. He did his post-graduation. And today, he manages 100 people in a healthcare company as a regional sales head. Okay. And I've seen this happen right in front of my eyes. So when Gauri said, you don't need to be a CEO to leave an identity, it is very, very true. So now, from this, I want to tell you certain things for millennials on what are those things they need to keep in mind to become a leader. The first thing they need to understand is change is the only constant. Okay, and it's all the more relevant in the current post-pandemic world. Okay, and a small rule which is called the 60-40 rule, and you call it the comfort zone and the courage zone. Okay, so it's always keep 60% of your work in your comfort zone and 40% of your work in your courage zone. And when I say comfort zone, these are tasks which come naturally to you, and it's easy to do, and there's no risk, and you're not afraid to do. Courage zone are things which needs risk taking. There's a chance for failure, and you're afraid to do. You've not done it before. So always have your work in comfort and courage zone, this formula. So once in 2 years, there were some things which were in your courage zone becomes a comfort zone. Then again, try to find something which is in your courage zone. Okay. This is 1. 2, always remember company first, colleague second, your third. You alter the direction and you're heading for failure for sure. Okay. It may look that at present you're succeeding, but then you're going for a failure for sure. Okay. The third one, study the business map of your organization very, very well. It's an important skill to learn, which is understanding the business model of your organization. And only then your functional skill can become relevant to the business. So first understand the
Right.
business model, map your skill set to the model so that you can deliver results which mean business impact. And only then you can really start adding value and people will start seeing value in the work you do. Give up immediate gratification for long-time sustenance. And when I say immediate gratification, fancy titles, probably a 10% hike, or some stuff like you feel happy that somebody appreciated you. No. Look for long-term sustenance. Try to continuously learn. Take up jobs which gives you a lot of learning. Okay. And only then the value which I said about conviction, confidence, and nurturing growth comes up. Okay. And finally,
Mm-hmm.
always look out for blue ocean. Okay. And when I say blue ocean, in simple terms, it's about areas where there is low effort, high impact. Okay. In your functional areas, find those gaps in the existing system where with little effort you can create huge impact. And once you start doing this in your functional area, eventually you can do it in your organization. Okay. And a simple example for blue ocean is all your budget airlines. Okay. Be it Indigo,
Okay.
SpiceJet, or originally Southwest Airlines, which started. The low effort was getting rid of all the luxury items, food, and all these things. High impact, you are able to show results in where it really matters, which is your turnaround time, keeping up your flight time, keeping up your schedule, and all these things, which is so it's low effort, high impact. An example. So try to always find the low effort, high impact in your work area and create a blue ocean, and you will start creating that identity for yourself, which Gauri mentioned, saying that you can be an office boy but still create an impact in your organization.
Right, right, right. Very well said. I think, Siddharth, the bottom line is that we need to continuously keep evolving as a leader. That's very, very important. And I've learned this new thing from you, which is the blue ocean concept, and I'm definitely going to keep it with me. The low effort, high impact areas. I think this is one area which even I need to work on. Thank you so much for sharing this. Uh, can we have Gauri? Gauri is not here, so I'll move over to Sonesh. Just a minute. Let me just check and if I can add Gauri to the stream. Yeah, Gauri, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, Gauri, my question to you is, how do you as a leader lead through change? I mean,
So I
this is
think,
just, I think, a continuation of what Siddharth was just
yeah,
talking
right.
about. How would you talk about leading through change?
Yeah, I couldn't hear him fully because I got dropped twice. But I heard him
Yeah.
saying that change is the only constant. As we know, this is 60-40, which I really loved. I had never heard about this before. So, yeah, as a leader, and COVID taught us what is actually VUCA, what is actually change. So far, we were just saying it's happening, but it really happened in true sense. So, for example, if we were talking to our teams, the first question was not what are you doing or how you are doing your work, but the first question was how things are at home. Is everybody fine at home? And this is how most of the meetings were starting. That was a change which we all accepted. Working from home was a change which we all accepted. So for me, it starts with leaders. If you have to make any change, bring in any change in the organization, or even if it is a family, it has to start from the senior. It has to be top down. But at the same time, I believe there are 3 C's for bringing in change. Number one is communicate. So far, people used to talk about what are we going to do. But now we have to talk about why are we bringing in this change? What does it entails for me? What's in it for me is what people are looking at. And millennials have gone a step ahead and they say how is most important for them. So this from what to how the journey has brought in a lot of change. Second is collaboration. Are you running the show alone? You just said I want to bring in a change and full stop, or you are collaborating with people and you are asking their views, you are taking them along. It's not possible to do it alone. And it is also not possible that you listen to everybody's view, then there will not be any decision making. So I saw myself changing from having a democratic style. So far, any policy that I have written, at least 10 functional head would have got involved in this. But during COVID time, there was no time to do it. I had to change and I had to bring in quick adjustments, quick results. So at times I said, this is not possible, we cannot do it. So this is how as a leader you are changing with second C, collaborate, you are collaborating, you are telling it is important, but this is something which will not be able to accept. And finally, commit. This last C remains many a times. We start with lot of things around and lot of we go gung-ho about it, and then finally when it comes to leading the change through, many a times the efforts fail. And that's where execution is critical. So you can have a strategy, but any idea is a waste without executing it well. So for me, bringing in change as a
Absolutely.
leader, you have to change first, and then you have to bring in these three elements which are critical.
Thank you so much for answering that so beautifully. As a matter of fact, I was just putting down my notes here. And as a communication skills coach, we have, we come across the 7 C's of communication. And by now, I've also got my 7 C's of leadership till now. So starting from Rajiv sir to Fahmida, Sonesh, Siddharth, and Gauri, I've put down convert, converge, confidence, conviction, communicate, collaborate, and commitment. So these become our
Super.
7 C's of leadership now. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. So let's move on to our next question now. And this one is for Sonesh. Sonesh, what do you
Bandan,
do when you're.
that is what is collaboration, right? I
Yeah,
said you
right.
just now
Right.
demonstrated collaboration.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, very well
So
said.
that brings
So,
eighth
Sonesh,
C here.
yeah, tell me.
So I was saying that brings in eighth C here.
Yeah, that brings an 8th C, right? So, having said that, let's move on to Sonesh now. Sonesh, what do you do when you're unsure about how to achieve goals of a team?
Okay, I think very valid question, and I think most of the time leaders will be in this particular situation, and I think a real leader enjoy to be into this particular situation. Let me tell you this. When we are unsure, guys, I think the most important thing, we all are human beings. First of all, we need to understand this, right? It's not like being a leader, you have earned a title called a godfather. Correct? Always,
Right.
I believe that being a human being, first of all, you have that acceptance with you that if you are so unsure about going or achieving your goals, what you should do with your team, first of all. I think, for example, you're working on a very critical project. The first and the foremost thing is you have to just go and discuss with your team, right? And secondly, what I believe here is that do not just keep talking. There is something very important terminology attached to it is called execution, right? And that's where in the second point we fail most of the time, because we might have say about 100 good ideas, but these all 100 good ideas are as good as waste if we don't execute even a single one, right? So I think first thing is you should not keep talking if you want to really achieve your goals. Yes, goals needs to be discussed, that is first important point, but eventually even you have to hold yourself accountable. If you don't hold yourself accountable and your team accountability is completely missing, 100%, and I can even tell you 101%, you are going to miss your goals. And you will be at the end, you will be like, I'm not sure about like how this whole situation has happened. It has happened because it was predefined failure for you, right? Because from the day one, you never been so clear
Right.
how to go about it. You never took that step of discussing with your team members, okay, if something is going wrong, how to fix that issue first, rather than just waiting till the last day and then again coming back to a situation and discussing with everyone, oh my God, we have lost it or we have not achieved it, right? So I personally believe as a leader, first of all, have that self acceptance that your team is a part of your family here. And family, when I say, I'm not talking about that we just keep talking the personal stuff, we talk completely even onto the professional ground. And more than professional, I think you have to be a empathic leader, right? So when you have empathy in place, you know what to talk, and I'm sure your team is going to support you for that, right? So, second thing which we need to understand here is, even if you achieve small success, please celebrate it with your team, Because this is what I feel like most of the time we miss it big times, right? Why? Because we feel that it's a responsibility from everyone in my team to achieve certain goals, or probably, certain numbers, because that's the reason we are paying them for. Sometimes this drastic answer also comes, and which is like, I feel it's not the respect or the reward to an individual's hard work, right? It might look small for you initially, but please celebrate that with your team, because that's how you boost their confidence in. And that's how you say, hey guys, it's okay. We are working for a new project. We might be unsure about what could be the outcome, but let's work hard and dedicatedly achieve. And even if there is a small success, please celebrate it, because everyone has equally worked hard for it, right? Third thing
Absolutely.
is, I have also seen most of the time we go with this mindset that, okay, as a team member, as you already have a title, let's assume you're a business analyst, or probably you're working as a team lead, right? You already have a title attached to it. And even if you achieve something, people are going to just ignore it or corner it out. They say, okay, it's your part of job or responsibility, right? We don't
Right.
believe probably in sharing that, small rewarding act towards them. And always whenever you want to give a compliment to somebody, you want to reward some sort of good, let it be in the form of good wordings to someone, please do it publicly in front of everyone, so that people can understand what you respect from that particular individual as a leader. And
Absolutely.
never ever try to highlight their weaknesses in front of the whole team, because that's not what as a leader you should do. Personally, I feel if there is some sort of weaknesses, you should always talk to them in person and make them understand that how they can overcome that challenge or probably weakness and turn out to be a strong point, because that's the job of a leader, to empower others,
I
right?
think this
So
is exactly, yeah. I think this is exactly what Siddharth was also talking about. He was talking about communication. So I think it's also about the way in which things are communicated to the other person is what you
absolutely
are talking about.
true,
Yeah, so
true.
that makes a whole, yeah, it makes a whole lot of sense as to what you were talking about. And Fahmida, I will now like to come to you. And I would like to ask you, we've already discussed about the 7 C's of leadership, and this is another C coming in, and I need to know whether we should be adding this C to the list or not. So the question is C for competition among team members good? How do you see that as a leader? Fahmida, you're not audible.
Am I audible
Yes, yes, you're audible now.
now?
Yeah.
All right. So what I was mentioning was that it all depends on how we perceive that particular C called the competition. To begin answering the question, Bandan, undoubtedly, competition is what drives and motivates an individual to reach great heights. However, again, the perception of competition. What is competition at its inception? It is just a behavior which has direct correlation to our state of mind. Yet, it is a narrowed concept, unfortunately, that aims at individual benefit. When one tries to win over another through demonstration of better skills, talents, capabilities, and overall demeanor, it has been, how would you say it has been
Right.
considered as competition. Today, in every walk of life, let us be very honest, who would say no to a better deal, considering the well being of oneself and our beloved ones? As simple and logical it may sound, competition in today's current context and in the leading edge has been overrated, misconceived, and it is now more of a disguised facade to medium and mass scale seizures and forceful dethroning. Here, once again, leaders do play a vital role in setting the stage. It is true that we have very few followers nowadays because everyone wants to have a
Right.
portion of that limelight. But we cannot deny the fact that there is always someone, you, me, and this eminent panel, and our followers and leaders who always look up to for guidance and support, even once in a while. As this subject matter of competition is a broad phenomenon and also a debatable subject. Some would say yes, some would say no. But with the observations within the construct of a corporate environment, it is technically and literally the very same, where an corporate or a industrial competition would be very same to a competition within team individuals, but with maybe minor modifications here and there. This is where corporate environments and its leaders should always pay great attention towards the sustenance of healthy competition. Now, here again, I'm not talking about perfect competition. The nitty-gritties, the parameters and protocols of competition indirectly and unconsciously laid by the higher management, unfortunately, with the major probability I have witnessed, have twisted the true concept of competition to create enmity, fear of doubt, fear of failure, thus a toxic environment where nobody is productive nor performing.
Right.
So here again, let me rephrase my initial answer now. It is not just competition, but healthy competition is what creates a level playing field where all players will have infinite equal access to equal opportunities and resources. It's not just that a platter of opportunities is kept and everybody races through it and the one who gets there first is able to access it. That's not going to be any productive, and companies will not be able to succeed or accomplish their business objectives or their financial objectives. Companies need to focus on creating positive physiological and psychological activations for their own betterment and that of their teams, because a leader or a company is only successful as much as their team is successful. I would like to make a quote here that has been stated by Vince Lombardi, that an individual commitment towards a group effort is what makes a company succeed, which then sheds enough spotlight on teamwork. In a nutshell, I personally believe that rather than competing with others, why not compete with oneself to elevate your standards of working, upskill and reskill your competencies and skills, and work together by complementing each other and synchronizing with them. However, the spirit of competition will always rise. We are all humans with our needs and agendas. But when working for a company or as a part of a team, it is important for us to stay in synchronization and maintain synergy, collaborate, and maintain a good rapport. It is only then a team would exist. Because when unhealthy competition dominates, collaboration is not achievable in practical terms.
Yep. Very well said. So I think it's all about healthy competition, and I think I love the idea of having a competition with oneself. And I think this is the best time to unlearn, learn and relearn, upscale and upgrade oneself. That's the best way to be. Thank you so much for answering that so beautifully, Fahmida. It made a whole lot of sense. Now I would like to move on to Rajiv sir. Rajiv sir, can you, since you are one of the most experienced people on the panel, so I would like to ask you this question. Can you recall a time when an employee disregarded or disagreed with your directive? And how did you handle this kind of a situation as a leader?
Okay, I think you're on purpose putting me on the spot, so which is okay. So
of course, and I love doing that. And the best part is, even despite my trying to put each one of you on the hotspot, you all have been very, very easily able to smooth sail through the entire set of questions. So that's the best part.
Okay.
So I've got some really smart leaders out here today.
Yeah, thanks for that. Okay, now before I go to this interesting question you've raised, I just wanted to make one point to something that Fahmida was talking about and what earlier Gauri and the rest of them were talking about. I think the current scenario of COVID has taught all businesses, all families, and all individuals, whether they are leaders or they're in whatever capacity, the real meaning of pivot, right? I think pivoting is something that has become second nature to us now. What some people used to call as resilience, some people used to call as an ability to bounce back, I think is now suddenly become a second nature to all of us, because what we have experienced, nobody expected. And what we are doing with ourselves is also something we didn't expect out of ourselves, right? The fact that we have been able to honestly wade through all emotional, personal, financial, human level distresses. And I say that for every individual who suffered, continues to suffer, and will probably continue to suffer for the next few months and quarters also. So I think this ability to pivot is something which is, according to me, a new leadership skill which businesses and individuals have suddenly created for themselves. So I just wanted to sort of highlight that and bring out that what management journals and management gurus were talking about, probably the next generation is going to take away this as a core skill which they're going to learn and practice as they go forward. And I think that's one shift in leadership education that's going to come about now. That's what I see clearly happening. So I just thought I'll share that before I go back to your question about these situations. Now, I think a very interesting point. I think I would like to sort of look at this question slightly differently, because the question that you asked me is probably in an environment which is a very dictatorial type of leadership style,
Yeah.
right? Where there is somebody who decides and the rest of them are supposed to implement. Now, I think that era of leadership and organization no longer exists. And if that exists, that organization has probably a few seconds left about themselves. And I say that with complete
Very well.
clarity of thought.
True.
Right? Because
True.
gone are the days where there was one decision maker and one wise man, and the rest of them were supposed to do what their one person tells them. Right? And that's actually was never leadership. Hitler may have been a leader, but he was a dictator first and a leader afterwards, right? So we're not talking of leaders who are Hitlers. We're talking of leaders who are collaborators, leaders who are self-aware about themselves, who are aware about what people need, about what the market requires, and how do we collectively identify and solve a problem for the betterment of all stakeholders. Now, if you approach a situation with that mindset, where you're solving a problem for the good of everybody at hand, you're automatically creating a collective purpose. And that collective purpose will not bring about dissent. It will bring about a disagreement and something which is a difference of opinion. Now, for me, the biggest learning that I have seen, and I've seen as a most successful way of leading and dealing with situations, is the best way to agree is to disagree. So if you can agree to disagree with somebody respectfully, I think you've given the best respect to that situation. And by doing that, what you've achieved is you have taken into account the value that each individual brings to the table. And as I was telling you, you've demonstrated this so beautifully. Each one of us sitting in this room have contributed to your 7 Cs. Now that's absolutely a phenomenal example of living that experience. Now, each one of us may agree or disagree with it, but the fact that it has come together is a living example of collective leadership. Right? So if you expect somebody, now there are disagreements in leadership situations. I can give you one or two very interesting examples. When I took over a business and I had to sort of sit around the table and understand the performance of an existing team, and I had to induct new blood into that system. Now that's a very challenging situation, because when you take over a business, you take over legacy, you take over an existing strong foundation, and you also have to build for the future. Now, when you do that, there are gaps. There are gaps in capabilities, there are gaps in skills, there are gaps in understanding. But to allow you to bridge that, you have to bring in change. Now, when change happens, that's when pain happens. Right? When a caterpillar grows into a butterfly, that's the most painful process. So when you expect somebody to say, boss, you're not good at what you're doing, that calls for courage at the leadership level. Now, can you take that person through the journey of moving from a caterpillar to the butterfly, or you want to dump that caterpillar there? Now, that's the difference in the way you deal with it. Now, people respond differently, and managing those situations is the real test of leadership, according to me. Have I had my times where I've had altercations with people with difference of opinions? Yes, definitely. Have we resolved them? Definitely, yes. Have I had to let go of people because of attitudinal issues? I have. That's exactly what leadership is all about. You can't always carry, sorry to say that, I've got some HR people here, I don't like that word, deadwood, right? But deadwood exists, right? Deadwood exists, but not because they are deadwood, but because the business has grown and that individual has not upskilled and reskilled. It's got nothing to do with that individual, right? So I don't know whether that answers your question or not, but leadership styles determines what action you take around it. And that's probably the way I see this happening.
So you've brilliantly answered that question. I think there are no doubts left as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure the other people on the panel would also like to agree to what you're saying. So having said that, Rajiv sir, let's move on to Sonesh once again. Sonesh, how do you as a leader achieve your goals and objectives in these fast-paced times?
Okay, so Bandan, for me, I think as a leader, first of all, you have to upgrade yourself as per the market standards. You cannot just run your business or any sort of goal or probably any sort of a bigger project dynamics just the way how olden days used to be. As very beautifully Rajiv sir has just mentioned that Hitler might be a leader, but before a leader, he was a dictator, right? So that
Right.
was a different
Right.
sort of leadership. Now, coming down to today's generation and the kind of human mindsets we are dealing in the most challenging world, I think we have to understand as a leader, read your market trends very accurately. When I say accurately, I doesn't mean that 100% we all are going to be accurate. Absolutely no. But please do not take it for granted also, saying that I can't do anything if things changes. Then you are no more a leader. Please step down and just go and learn, and then you step up. Because see, eventually when you call
Right.
yourself as a leader, there is a whole group of people who are following you for some reason. And the reason is pretty serious and strong, right? So please make sure that when you are a leader, upgrade yourself with the market trend first. That is first thing you should know. Secondly, when there is a change happening, as a leader, you have to understand you want to take an opportunity out of situation or you want to crib around the situation. The best classical example I can give you is right now of COVID, right? When COVID started, lockdown started, everybody was just moving into a mindset, okay, everything is shut down now, what to do? And I think even the same question was there in our head also, because we have completely moved from offline to online. It was very challenging. Trust me. I'll not be just, stating here a very polished language. I might tell you very honestly. I know we all have that pain, right? And pain
Right.
is at the pain of that change is really, really painful. Let me tell you this, right? It's not so
Yeah.
easy, but we all have taken it so graciously, and I think today we are enjoying that journey. Though we all have our ups and downs in life, but does that mean that we have stopped? Absolutely no. As a leader, I think you should come forward, state out a channel, or probably work out a way how you can just get rid out of that situation. That is why you are called as a leader, right? Now the third thing which I feel is very, very important for being into this dynamic or fast paced mode is monitor your technological challenges. Now we all have a classical example that when we were just about to start our program, we had met with a technical glitch. Now this can happen to anyone, and I can also give you one incident which happened with me. I was addressing a gathering of almost good 200 plus people. Suddenly, my mic went off on stage. Can you understand the situation? Now, I have two options there. One, I stand and crib about and start shouting at all the sound engineers and all that, can't you check and blah, 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 blah thing. Or the other way around as a leader is, I said, I'm so sorry, guys, sincere apologies for the technical glitch. I just removed my mic, step down out of my stage, be into the crowd, and I start interacting. And within 2-3 minutes, when once my mic was back, I start addressing. So it's just up to you as a leader how you tackle that situation. You can make that whole situation look very chaotic, or probably you can just sail through the whole situation very smoothly. It's up to you. And I always believe the speed of the leader decides the speed of the team. So if you are not at all energetic, you are not at
Right.
all a dynamic, you are not a decision maker, you are simply probably enjoying that title, but outcome wise, it's as good as zero. Right? So I think we need to focus on all these areas, especially when it comes to fast
Absolutely.
paced
Very well said.
environment.
So I think it's all about, yeah. Yeah, so there is stress in every field, in every workplace. It's up to us whether we take it as a bait and, kind of snap at it and add to our already existing stress, or we go it the other way around. We look for better options, we look for other alternative ways of resolving things, resolving problems, and then just keep maintaining that smooth flow. And that's exactly what true leaders are made of. So you
Right.
very well put it forth. And now I'd move on to Gauri. Gauri, if a leader were to make an unpopular decision, how would she or he handle such a situation efficaciously?
Okay, is it on me because I am a HR professional and that comes to HR very easily or very difficult? So
Yes,
yeah, I
yes,
mean, if
yes,
you
it
don't
does.
want to take, Okay, great. So if you don't want to take a unpopular decision, go sell ice cream is what the mantra is, because you, as a leader, you have to take unpopular decision. You are
Absolutely.
not there to please people, and it is impossible that people would like, everybody would like. We saw how Mahatma Gandhi was killed, so there was somebody who was not happy with that philosophy.
Right.
And we need to understand, are we trying to become a effective leader, or we are trying to become a popular leader? If you are a popular leader, your effectivity would be very less, but yes, people would definitely respect you. They will not come out, but ultimately in some time you will be definitely reaching a stage where people would not have even that respect for you, because
Right.
the way we discussed Hitler, so he also had not many followers, but only thing that differentiated was the positive intent. He did not have that positive intent. And if you have a positive intent, definitely you will have to take some tough decisions, and COVID showed it very much. So again, I would be using some C's to solve this situation. How can you go about bringing an unpopular decision? So one would be definitely courage. It takes a lot of courage to do this, and in one of my assignments, I was forced to learn this art of offering respectful exit to CXOs. Something happened, like Rajiv mentioned, he had to do it too. And similarly, I was forced to learn this. What was most critical at that point of time is communication. How do you make them feel? We have seen this movie Up in the Air, and we have seen how firing was done, right? How George Clooney has played it, and how the other the woman who was in the room, she was saying that you do it on video conference. We heard during COVID that these things were done on Zoom, on email, phone call, everything. So the most important thing is courage, communication, and other C's coming in, and that is most critical. If you see the example of Air France, they fired the 3% of people, and it was such a storm that people came into executive room and they ripped their shirts apart. And nearly same time, Twitter also was doing it, so they fired around 8% people, but it was not a news. Why? Because the CEO said that he is giving away $200 million in employee pool, and that's what differentiates one the normal person from a great leader. So this is how unpopular decisions have to be taken. You have to take people in confidence. No strategic decision should be taken in silos, like Rajiv already said that gone are the days when one person would decide and everybody would execute. It's all about bringing people together, telling them that why, that purpose, why we need to do this. So this is how I think difficult decisions or unpopular decisions should be taken.
Thank you so much. And you really gave a great answer, very smart answer to my query here. Thank you so much. And next question is for Fahmida. Fahmida, what is your leadership style and what are the other popular leadership styles that you've come across?
Fahmida, you need to unmute
Yes, it is
yourself.
a very challenging question, Bandan, because I don't want to make it look like a technical lecture here. Because when you
Yeah.
go talk about leadership styles, you would have to say a particular leader. This is what. So what I thought was, and again, it's going to be an opportunity for me to recap all what everybody just mentioned here. A few points that Rajiv sir mentioned, a few points that Gauri, Sonesh, and Siddharth mentioned are all going to be here because we are talking about leadership. So today I thought of having a few, a walk down memory lane on my 11-year professional odyssey. And to answer the first component, I would call myself as an authoritative and affiliative leader. And to arrive at this, I had to travel a very long, challenging, and an enlightening voyage, meeting several leaders along the way with their unique way of leadership, with drastic variances from one another. Commencing with my very first job that I landed when I was 19 years, in all important respects, the credit of me being an authoritarian goes to my first boss, where everything was doing things right. Not doing the right thing, but doing things right. Quite the authoritative bureaucrat. No room for mistakes. never takes no for an answer. Right or wrong, we ought to do what he says and needs. However, even through those tough circumstances, although that kind of leadership is no more popular, and as just Gauri mentioned, the ship has long sailed, but the rate of climb indicator in myself was very high because my need for perfection, my low level of tolerance for ignorance and careless performance, not mistakes or failures, ignorance and careless performance, and the infinite need for productivity was something that I acclimatized through observing of the positive outcome his style of a bureaucratic and authoritative leadership could yield. It had many cons, but these were the few pros observed, and I reflected. I immediately absorbed them to myself and I started reflecting them. But when I sailed away from the coast of dictatorship, the shore I landed was on the island of laissez-faire, another technique of leadership that goes hand in hand with pace-setting leadership. It was indeed a challenging transformation from being spoon-fed. My boss used to say, do this, A, B, C, D. Now, I was only said C, and A, B, D, E, everything had to be identified by me. All the strenuous tasks were the team's responsibility here to fulfill the set expectations of being productive. The ideal pace-setting leader I have ever met to date. I even tell him that. What I would like to highlight here, the advantages that I was able to observe was that as a new entrant to the tourism industry, that was my second job, I was the events manager there, his vague commands subliminally did motivate me on a self-learning journey to make myself a skilled employee in customer relationships, conflict resolutions, and strategic partnerships. Then, after a few years, when I commenced my new venture in 2016, as months passed, I started recognizing a unique individual in my managing director. His art of communication was sublime, and he never missed to appraise the participation and engagement of every single member. The visionary and affiliative leader. Decisions made were always very consensual. When we were seated at the table, no matter whether we were a manager or an executive, would ask, what do you think? What do you think? Are you all right? Do you have any issues? It was very impressive to be a part of any of the discussions that he was present with. And every one of us were pushed into deep waters. And he always was there, guiding and leading us from behind. And he always believed in collaboration and communication. His emphasis on personal relationships and employee engagement was never compromised. He is the person who inspired me, and he helped me aspire to be an iconic leader like him one day. This was moreover like 4 years back. It was not an overnight miracle. I gradually moved out of this illusion of being a good leader through my authoritative style, but with his guidance and support, I revived myself into a blend, an authoritative and affiliative, where being a visionary leadership goes hand in hand with affiliative leadership. I started to inculcate and imbibe the willingness to discuss with my team in a constructive manner. On the flip side, it did not make me a cool and an easy person to work with either. When I had to place my feet down and give commands, I did so. But to a greater degree, incrementally, it was more of an affiliative style and less authoritative. Conflicts were always present. Nevertheless, those were solved much faster than we thought, as crucial communication was the very tool I leveraged upon in conflict resolution and gradually succeeded in fostering positive personal relationships. I finally came to understand that we were each other's harvest. We were each other's business, and yes, we were each other's magnitude and bond. For years, I did wonder, how am I supposed to get what I want from someone else by making them want the very same thing? But today I understand that no person will ever commit to any leader unless they are certain that we are committed to them. Because excellence is no faithful wife. To be very honest, it's an unsatisfied mistress. The more you try to satisfy, the more it raises its yardsticks. As the old Chinese adage goes, give a man a fish and you feed him for one day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a notwithstanding the unidentified definition of leadership, The real challenge is staying true to your goals and to those who look up to you and nurturing your dreams to create a legacy through a call for action to impact, influence, and empower is what I would encapsulate to be the true purpose of leadership in concise. Nonetheless, as captivating as it may sound, it is a noble responsibility indeed in ensuring that others grow along with you. And I'm not quite sure whether we are all, that there are all the people would be ready to do that. But if you want to be a true leader, you need to have it in you.
Thank you so much, Fahmida, for sharing your inspiring and invigorating journey with us. And I think everyone must be truly resonating with all your ideas and the kind of journey that you've been through. It's simply sharing this. So, as a ceremonial conclusion to our show for the evening, I would like to ask Siddharth this one last question. This will be more like a ceremonial conclusion as well. Siddharth, in the tough times that we are in, what message would you like to convey to our aspiring leaders? And how do you justify the theme for today's conclave, which was entitled Lead to Succeed?
Okay. So the first point, lead to succeed, okay, the title. And I think it's very, very important because I think it's very clear through all the discussions which we've had that leadership, being a leader is not just about someone coming and telling you you're a leader. It's up to every individual's responsibility to lead themselves and to lead others. And only when that happens, in these times of uncertainty, success is going to happen. And now a few pointers for all aspiring leaders. Okay, the first key thing everyone needs to understand is leadership is not a luxury; it's a responsibility. Okay, it's not that you become a leader and so hey, so I don't need to do work. I have a lot of people to do work. No, it's a responsibility. When you are not a designated leader, the mistakes which you do is just going to cost yourself. And if you're a leader and you're not okay, it's going to spoil the careers of so many people, okay? And it's not nice, okay? The next one is learn, grow, and then eventually you become a leader, okay? Titles don't tell that you're a leader. It's your behavior and the impact which you create determines whether you're a leader or not, okay? And that you need to feel from inside. The next one is inculcate self-discipline, ethics, and all these things. Build your value system, okay? And finally, I'm going to give a formula, okay? It's called the SPICE formula, okay? So these are the areas in which you need to build yourself.
That's interesting. Sounds interesting.
Okay? It's called the SPICE formula. First one is build yourself spiritually. And when I say spiritual, it's not about religion. It's about your value system, okay? Build yourself spiritually. The next one is physically, okay? Health, okay? Invest some time in exercises and all these things to keep yourself physically fit, okay? The third one is intellectually, okay? Keep reading, keep learning, okay? There's no end to learning. And learning need not necessarily be only in your work area or anything. Just learn a lot of things, okay? Expand your scope. The fourth one is about community or network with people. Build your community, okay, and give willingly, okay. It's not about exchange or it's not about just networking with people from whom you can really get some value. Just network with a lot of value adders who can add value and whom you can add value to. And finally, the most important thing in the SPICE formula is invest emotionally, okay. As you go through journey, you have a lot of good experiences, bad experiences, and as you evolve, you need to change the way you react to situations, okay? So these are all areas you need to invest in if you need to be a good leader whom people look up to, okay? And I want to end with that.
So normally we used to hear this, variety is the spice of life. And today, the way this acronym has come forth through Siddharth, I think we can go ahead and say leadership is now going to be the spice of life. So thank you for sharing this. This is, in fact, one of the very great golden nuggets that we've got from our leaders on this panel discussion. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time, for taking time out of your hectic schedules and being here. And of course, I just cannot forget. Thank you so much for being so patient. The initial technical glitch that we had, and despite all that, you guys were patient enough to stay back and just wait for things to get normalized. So I think that again is hats off to you guys for being so patient. And last but not the least, I would also like to extend a heartfelt gratitude to all our revered audiences who stayed with us throughout the show. Thank you once again for being here. Thanks a lot. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you,
Thank
everybody.
you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Take care.
much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.